Welcome to Thursday, 6 o'clock. Brhad Bhagavatamrta. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vistaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Vachaline Nivasesha Sunya Bhadi Vashtutara Satarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Okay, anyone can recall where we left off last week? It was quite
Are we still talking about Lakshmi?
Yeah, we was the week before. Yeah, we was speaking about Lakshmi, but then there was a summary then afterwards. Yeah, so basically, yeah, we're speaking about Lakshmi and the different manifestations of Lakshmi. Very interesting details given. But then now we're hearing again, it's back to the position of Krishna, and we left off from there. Basically, it seems like Sanatana Goswami is elaborating on the verse in Bhagavatam, Eche Kamsa Klapumsam Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Yeah, this verse, it substantiates Krishna as being the origin, the Swayam Rupa, the origin of all incarnations. And although the incarnations are non-different, Achincha Beda Beda Tattva, they are non-different but different. In that it's from Krishna, he is the original candle, and he possesses all opulences, and it's all coming from that original form of Krishna. Although at the same time the incarnations are non-different, but in another sense there is some difference. So that's where we left off last week. A little bit technical, some of this discussion about the different incarnations. It's getting a little bit easier after we finished reading about the exhaustive details of Mother Lakshmi and her expansions and her potencies of different. There's the Divya Lakshmi, and then Lakshmi expands, as etc. etc. It's getting a little. It seems like the discussion is getting a little bit more graspable, or a bit easier for us down here on planet Earth to understand properly. All right, so let me share the screen then. Share the screen. Yeah, I don't know how many times I've said this. Right, let me share the screen. I'm sure when I'm leaving this world, that might be what comes to my mind. Let me share the screen. Hopefully Krishna's on the screen of my mind when we're leaving this world. All right. So, books, Sri Brhad Bhagavatamrta coming to you right now on your gadget or computer. There it is. Dun-dun-dun-dun. All right. So we're on text 188. 188 we're beginning today, unless I'm mistaken. No, I'm correct because I checked the video and we finished on 187 last week. And now on 188. Okay, someone would like to read? Any readers out there? Go ahead, please.
Text 188?
Yeah, just the translations we're doing here.
Okay.
Oh, you can do the Sanskrit if you want, but
I'll skip it. Yeah.
Okay.
Still, the servants of the Lord's incarnations achieve the greatest happiness in the loving service they prefer, each according to his own mood. Yeah, I think we did something like this last week. Yeah.
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 Let me just
commentary.
Okay, we could just read it again then if we did do this.
No, I mean, I think this made me recall what we were reading last week.
Okay, all right. So we're at the right place then. Great.
Yeah. Commentary. Since Sri Krishna Dev is the boundless ocean of all super excellent glories, Why doesn't every devotee serve him and him alone to obtain the highest possible happiness? The answer is that every Vaishnava, no matter what form of Vishnu he worships, achieves a special individual happiness suited exactly to his own attitude, and thus completely fulfills his heart's desires. All the Supreme Lord's pure servants know such perfect satisfaction, so they all attain the ultimate limit of happiness available in their own rasas.
All right. It sounds like there's an incarnation to suit everyone. There's so many incarnations of the Lord. There's so many expansions, so many different moods that he exhibits. So devotees are dedicated to each of these incarnations. Their hearts are fully satisfied. Yeah, so that's why all Vaishnavas, not all meditating upon or worshipping Krishna. Yeah, there's different. You have the Sri Vaishnavas, they're worshipping Vishnu. Yeah, and many other, some worship Lord Ram, etc., etc. All right, so different servants have their own moods. Yeah, who's the so I keep asking you questions from Sastra, but I think it's good to test your Sastra. In Chaitanya Charitamrita or Chaitanya Bhagavat, I think, Chaitanya Charitamrita, there's the pastime described to some degree. What's a good example of one devotee being dedicated to his worshipable deity despite the entreaties of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu?
Murari Gupta.
Yeah, you got it. Murari Gupta, who is none other than
Hanuman.
Hanuman, yeah. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was preaching the glories of Radha Krishna and convincing him lovingly and in a friendly way to worship Radha and Krishna other than his worshipable deity. And Murari Gupta didn't want to disobey or go against what Lord Chaitanya, the shiksha he was receiving. So he had that determination. But try as he could not, his heart could not let go of worship of Ram. So he thought himself condemned. Yeah, I can't follow the instructions of Lord Chaitanya. You know, so anyway, Lord Chaitanya was very pleased for his example of dedication to his worshipable deity. He says, "You a wonderful example, and that's how we should be, you know, dedicated to a worshipable deity." Yes, so Murari Gupta.
Also,
common.
Sanatan and Rupa Goswami's brother Anupama.
Oh yeah, same, yeah.
Yeah, Lord Ram. Yeah.
He was, even though the intimate association of Rupa and Sanatan, he maintained his attachment to Lord Ram. Yeah. And he had died, didn't he? He left and he's glorified for worshipping Lord Ram. Yeah. So seems like Sanat Goswami's making a comment on this here, on this point. Right, you can continue, Novalavanga, as you like. 189.
189. According to the way one worships, the Lord awards different results. One who thus reaches the goal he has pursued never feels discontent. Commentary. The personality of Godhead knows everything there is to know. He is also the most merciful giver of charity. Why then doesn't he give the same supreme happiness to all his devotees? It is because what he gives them depends on their expressed desires. Aren't the devotees dissatisfied who receive happiness that is relatively less? No, when the Supreme Lord reciprocates the love of any of his pure devotees, the devotee is never felt feeling incomplete because everything the devotee wanted, the Lord provides.
Okay. So I was a bit distracted there, moving things around. Let me just read this verse again. According to the way one worships, the Lord awards different results. one who thus reaches the goal, he has pursued, never feels discontent. All right. Okay, you can continue for 190.
Yeah. I mean, why would the devotee settle for, I mean, relatively less happiness if he's aware there's more happiness available?
Say that first part. Why would the devotees?
Then aren't the devotees dissatisfied who receive happiness that is relatively less? No. So I understand, the devotee has never felt feeling incomplete. But if you're aware there is a higher happiness or more happiness, would you not be like after that?
Well, I think from I always use these words, from a objective study of the different rasas and the different forms of the Lord, which we have, and we engage in that study, and it's explained in Chaitanyatamrita as well, as we're explaining that the highest rasa in its intimate details is exhibited in relation to Lord Krishna. But the devotees who are, for instance, devoted to Lord Ram or Lord Vishnu, they are at a stage of perfection. That is their perfection. So everything is complete. That is their perfection. And they're not necessarily weighing up different lords to worship and making comparisons, because they're so in love. They're so, they're completely, I say, controlled by the Lord's internal potency in their particular individual relationship with, say, Vishnu or Lord Ram. So they're not doing a comparative study.
Yeah.
Or even because they're, I guess it's also, we can learn from an example of Murari Gupta, that he's in love with Lord Ram. Yeah. So because of that loving affection, even he may hear the glories. It's a good example, actually. Even he heard the glories of Radha and Krishna. Because he's in love, then he cannot turn away from Lord Ram. So it's not philosophical. It is devotional. So philosophically, we can analyze, as being done here, that the highest rasa, say, is exhibited in Vrindavan, and in Vrindavan you got the gopis, and then the gopis, you got Radharani. Yeah. But for those who are at the stage of perfection and at the stage of prema, even if it's not Raj prema, they're not doing a comparative study, because it's not philosophical. It's kind of, it's devotional, which is so devotion, if we can use the word, is kind of, it's an affair of the heart. It's not an affair of the intellect. So therefore, Murari Gupta couldn't give up his worship and chanting the name of Lord Ram, even though he might have found a more, he could say, from a objective study, he may have found the more religible sweetness there. But for him, no. My Lord is Lord Ram. Yeah. So that's as much as I can say on that. And if anyone has any comments on that, basically it's an affair of the heart. It's not intellectual. So
yes, that's right. Yeah. Obviously their attachment is so great that that they can't see anything else as giving them any more satisfaction.
Yeah, that's why that particular is used here, that they never feel discontent, never. So there's no reason for them to go looking elsewhere. And even if
Yeah.
they hear the glories of, say, Krishna or another worship, then they're
Yeah.
fully content. So, yeah, but interesting question. It's good, and it's kind of addressed, and that's what is being addressed here
I
presently.
mean, that's a materialistic way of thinking, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, I want the highest, only the highest, and you know, everything else is like lesser. But there's nothing lesser or higher really, because
Yeah,
it's all absolute. Yeah, would that
yeah,
be right?
correct. That's a nice description. Yeah, it's like the descriptions of Mathura or Dwarka, Mathura and Vrindavan. It's not like Dwarka, Mathura or less. There's just different flavors of, or the different levels of perfection. But yeah, in the material world, we tend to be quite calculative. You know, we want the best product for the cheapest money. You know, so we have that type of mentality. Or what's the best? You know, and therefore we think something is best, and everything else is just has no standing. You know, because something's the best, everything else must be worse. But as you correctly stated, Mother Lavanga, it's absolute. So therefore, everything is the best for everyone in the spiritual world, no matter who they're worshipping.
Yeah.
Then
Great.
I was thinking,
Yeah.
then we keep thinking, okay, we want to go to Goloka Vrindavan, Gopis, Krishna, Goa, cowboys. On the other hand, you have
Hopefully we'll do. Yeah.
the Dwarka, which is they are with Krishna all the time. So why do we keep that bit of a difference?
Why do we? Sorry?
Keep a bit of a difference.
Yeah, there's a difference.
Yeah, so why, if everything is the same, then why is a bit of a difference?
Oh, because variety is the spice of life. So Krishna likes to enjoy different positions, different relationships, and different races. So it's not all one.
Mm-hmm.
It's not all one. It's all one in that it's all absolute. But within that oneness, there's a unlimited variety of rasas and positions that Krishna accepts to engage in different varieties of leela. I don't know if I'm addressing your question. So that's why there is differences there.
Yeah, I was just thinking today. I was just thinking about that today. You know.
Yeah. So for instance, Krishna, he has this virarash, which means he likes to fight. So therefore he comes as Lord Ram and engaged in a great battle. He comes as he comes even Krishna, and he fights with Chanura and Mustika. Yeah, did I get the names right? Chanura, Mustika. Yeah. So yeah, because variety is the it sounds materialistic, but variety is the spice of life. So there is variety in the spiritual world. So that's why we have Dwarka Krishna, you know.
Yeah.
And some people prefer, there's some people, they for them to meditate upon or worship Krishna and his amorous unwedded love with the gopis is just too much for them to digest. You know, they feel much more feet on the ground worshipping Krishna as married, Dwarka Krishna. And even there was it has been a discussion amongst Vaishnavas. What's the highest rasa or the highest mood of worship? Is it wedded or is it unwedded? So our acharyas have there's been quite some disagreements in the acharyas going back hundreds of years on this point. But then it was and even Jiva Goswami, he had followers or those who he was giving shiksha, and that they were so they could not relate, didn't want to relate, or could not relate to Krishna's amorous, unwedded affection for the gopis. Yeah. So then in the Gopal Champu, or in other book, I think one book, that's not Gopal Champu, is Rupa Goswami.
Jiva Goswami.
Yeah, Jiva Goswami, I might have got it wrong here, but Jiva Rupa. But then I think it's Rupa Goswami. Might be both. Perhaps I'll have to check. But then they write about Krishna being married to Radharani. And there's a part of Goloka where it is. I think we mentioned that. It's called Vaikuntha Goloka, where it's not Lakshmi Narayan, it's Radha Krishna, but they're married. Yeah, they're formally married. And so he wrote about that to pacify them and to give them a smaran and to give them a meditation. It's not he made it up, it's actually there. So sometimes devotees what they did is they quoted, oh, here's proof that even Jiva Goswami is glorifying the wedded love of Radha and Krishna. Here's Sila, even Jiva Goswami. And my Guru Maharaj speaks about this in a few places. But actually he was doing that for time, place, and circumstance for particular followers. So that's it. That's there as well. So okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. Yeah, we could get into reasons why the sorry?
I was just thinking about that today, when you really want to be with Krishna, I'm just thinking like that. Then you think, okay, what's a quicker way?
What's the quicker way?
No quicker way.
What's the easiest way? What's the quickest way?
Yes. What's the quickest way when you miss him and you want to be? Anyway.
Yeah. All right. The quickest way is Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
what I was doing.
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. To hear about Krishna more, to hear about him, to hear about his pastimes more, then things will speed up. All right, so let's perhaps someone else would like to read. We had quite some nice discussion there on that.
I can read. Which one is it?
Yeah, now on 190, is that correct?
Is that the one we're reading? Okay.
Yeah, 190. Unless I'm mistaken, or is it 189? Anyone is Novelavanga, which verse did you read last?
She's muted.
I read 189. We're on 190 now.
Navachandra, you can read 190.
Okay. The Lord's pastime expand in unlimited variety. His mind is deeper than millions of oceans. The opulence of his diverse pastime attracts his devotees to him in so many ways. Who can understand him by speculation? Commentary. But why doesn't the Lord bestow the very best method of worship upon all his devotees? After all, he is Rishikesh, the master of senses, who inspires all the energies of knowledge and activities. If he wanted to bestow the very best method, he could, but he chooses instead to respond to the individual taste of each devotee for a particular loving service. This variety of reciprocation with many different devotees is his Leela and his special greatness. How can anyone presume to understand why he acts as he does? We can understand only this much. Were he not to expand varieties of pastimes with various devotees, the charm of his variegated enjoyment would not be complete.
Right, so exactly what we're saying, yeah? Now, yeah, exactly what, we was trying to express and explain is being stated here. Yeah, the charm of his variegated enjoyment would not be complete. Yeah.
Also, isn't it free will? So he's giving you choices where you want to go or what you desire. He gives you.
Yeah, it seems there's you could. It's like going to a sweet shop. You know, saying different incarnations, different lords, different pastimes, but generally, that lord who you hear more about, or for those persons you're hearing from, generally, although not, there may be exceptions, but the mood of your guru, generally you're gonna go in that same direction. There may be exceptions. So generally, who you hear about more, that's where your attachment and affection is going to go. You know. So I think I mentioned a few times. So as Gaudiya Vaishnavas, we're generally hearing from Rupa, Sanatan, and our acharyas, and they're generally Raj. It's a Raj Bhakti. So that's the general direction of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Yeah. But that's the principle, is that if you every day you're hearing about Dwarka Krishna, then obviously you're going to develop affection, Dwarka Krishna. In the same way I've experienced that temple that you spend time in and those lords that you worship, then you develop affection for them. It's only natural. Just like I have experienced that I have affection, something a little bit, for Radha Landaneshwara, of course, after years of service, but also because I spend a bit of time in Mayapur. So I've developed some affection and appreciation of Radha Madhav as well. More than Radha Shama Sundara in Vrindavan, because I hardly go to Vrindavan. So that's the principle. The many incarnations, but And Bhagavatam specifically is a big chunk of Bhagavatam, and the biggest is the 10th canto, 87 chapters, and it's all about Krishna. Yeah. So that's where generally your affection will go. It's all right, but
Yeah.
so the more we hear about Krishna, because he's so wonderful, then the more affection, the more pretty that we have for him. Anybody else on this? Okay, then you can read a bit more. 191.
191. Even amidst such diversity, the Lord's mercy achieves its highest perfection. For despite the hierarchy of greater and lesser devotees, none are affected by envy or by any such bad feelings toward others. Each devotee, following his own nature, attains the final limit of happiness in the service that suits his own taste. Commentary. That the Supreme Lord does not behave the same with every devotee does not invalidate the glory of his boundless compassion. Rather, his discriminating dealings with his servant enhance his reputation, because every devotee relishes the highest possible happiness. By the nature of devotional service, none of the Lord's servants ever become dissatisfied. On the heavenly planets and elsewhere in the material world, inequality always leads to conflict and envy, but not so in the dealings between the Supreme Lord and his devotees. Rivalry, jealousy, and other undesirable emotions never interfere with their happiness. Devotees on the paths of pure devotional service are protected from their inauspicious influences, including false pride and malice towards others. Vaishnavas are naturally friendly to one another. Free from envy, they can peacefully pursue their real self-interest.
Okay. So this reminds us the second verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Dhamma Pacitta Kataiva Trapanamo Satam, describes that devotees are free of envy. So therefore, yeah, what's happening? We're engaged in different, I mean, there's different services that we can render to Krishna. And again, because it's absolute, then devotees, we should be fully happy and satisfied in a devotional service that we are particularly doing. And if that's not the case, if one is not, if there's some material tinge to their devotion, then there's a chance that one may be envious of other devotees, you know. Yeah, one may be envious of someone who seems to have a better service than what I do, you know. Say someone is, yeah, so just trying to say the absolute nature of all our service is the same as what's being described here, then we can be fully satisfied. So therefore, someone who's cooking for Krishna shouldn't really be envious of those who are addressing Krishna, you know. And those who are addressing Krishna shouldn't be envious of someone, you know. You understand the point here? Envy doesn't really work in the spiritual world, and it doesn't really work in devotional service. So because devotees, we should be fully satisfied in our specific service. Service may change. Yeah, there is room for service to change according to one's nature. So that's there as well. But generally, yeah, anyway, am I making sense here?
Yeah, I wanted to ask about that. Yeah, so when you are satisfied with whatever you're doing,
Yeah.
does that mean that you becoming complacent, or are you just...
No, it means you're becoming Krishna conscious if you're satisfied. There's one nice verse about satisfaction. Let me just pull up because I want to. So perhaps where shall I look for it? 1 second. Perhaps I'll just paraphrase it, but I might dig it out. Sada santusta manasa sava shiva myatishaha sakaro kantaka debya yata panat tata shivam. Yeah, so for someone who has suitable shoes on his feet, there is no danger. Even if he walks on pebble, even if he walks on thorns, then for him everything is auspicious. Similarly, for one who is satisfied, he sees happiness everywhere. Yeah, someone is so satisfied. It's one of the qualities. Santushta. Devotees are self-satisfied. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's no envy. Sometimes you can, has its material counterpart. Sometimes you meet people and they have a simple job, they have a simple life, but they're completely satisfied. You know, they're not hankering to be someone else, somewhere else, doing something else. And you see those people may have a simple job, but because it's their nature and they're completely satisfied. Yeah. Just like one time I went to a bike shop to get my bike fixed. And, you know, the guy who was serving me, he was completely ecstatic. I mean, he wasn't ecstatic devotionally, but he was happy. He was so happy materially, you know. And he was, you know, he was so, because it was a simple job. He was a bike mechanic, you know, working in the bike shop. Because he was satisfied. I could sense that this person is satisfied. Of course, materially, he's probably not fully satisfied. And then, because there's other persons working there and they're completely miserable. You know, completely enter, you know, they're very, you know, sometimes you go there. You ever been to a shop where the shopkeeper just ignores you for some time, you know? Then you go to another shop and the person's satisfied with his work. So he opens up conversation, is very happy. But other persons working in the same place, they're just not satisfied. I guess it's a material counterpart. But as devotees, we should always be satisfied and fully content with the service that we have, and not envy. But the main thing, not to be envy, not rivalry, as to hear rivalry and jealousy. Yeah, these things do not go down well in a devotional environment. Any comments on this, or any questions?
Except the rivalry between like Radharani's camp and Chandravali's camp.
Yeah, I was going to mention that as that's yeah, that is exhibited for the enhancement of the rasa. You know, different groups of gopis are vying for Krishna's attention. And there's one book, it's comes after Nectar Devotion. It's what's that book called? I think it's it. After Nectar Devotion by Ujjvala Nilamani. All right, it's by Rupa Goswami. And he describes all these different groups of gopis. And some of them really have, you know, you could say it's part of the Leela. They really, you could say, in really intense competition with the other gopis. And sometimes they lie to each other. Sometimes they curse each other. You know, it's all there, but it's all giving pleasure to Krishna. And it doesn't lead to what we see here in the material world when persons are intensely envious of each other. It doesn't lead to horrific, unpleasant things that we see here. It's all part of the bliss of the spiritual world. But in answer to your question, if you read that Ujjvala Nilamani, then you see, like, for instance, the gopis who are faithful to Radharani, they don't even want to hear the name of Chandravali, and the other group, for them, even the hint, they speak quite sarcastically and strongly about other gopis sometimes. It's interesting, Leela. It's interesting, It's not like all the gopis are smiling at each other, and there's quite a lot of politics, but it's all completely pure. It's because they're all pure souls, so it all enhances the Leela even more because of the competition to get Krishna's attention. So sometimes it's difficult to, perhaps we can just conclude, it's difficult to really, for us to understand.
Yeah.
But it's called transcendental envy. Prabhupada, I think he called it, transcendent envy, but where they wished, and it's not like it's like, sometimes it described that seeing one particular gopi serve Krishna, or particular manjari doing a particular service for Radharani, then other manjaris, then they really wish that they could also offer that service as well, but they don't feel what's the word? They don't feel hateful towards those who are rendering that service. They would also like to render that service. This makes sense. But then there is descriptions in Ujjvala Nilamani where the different groups of gopis. It says here, inequality leads to conflict and envy, but not so in the dealings between the Supreme Lord and his devotees. Rivalry and jealousy and other undesirable emotions never interfere with their happiness. But there is rivalry and jealousy in the spiritual world between different groups of gopis. But it's all pure. It's all pure, and it's all for Krishna's pleasure. I can't profess to understand it completely.
There is no envy there.
No, there's no envy, but
Prabhu, there is no envy there, yeah?
Yeah, no, there is no envy.
Yeah.
But there is Leela. So sometimes it seems like they are, there is rivalry between, but it's not, it isn't material. It's all wonderful.
Mm.
It's all wonderful. Yeah.
Like Raghunath Das Goswami when he throws away that buttermilk because it came from different camp.
Yeah, that's an example. Yeah.
It's like,
Even, even a thought of it is something coming from the forest where Chandravali resides, you know. So sometimes, yeah, devotees get quite intense in their devotion. Another one is Jagannatha Pandit, no? In CC. I'm completely angry with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for not accepting the oil, you know? Threw it on the ground, smashed the pot, and went off sulking and fasting.
Mm.
So the spiritual world is full of wonderful variety, you know? Yeah. Yeah, sometimes the sometimes some of the followers of Chandravali, like Padma, they will ask someone in Radharani's group for news about Krishna. So, and they will tell them complete full-faced lie about where Krishna is and what he's doing. You know, just so they don't spoil Krishna's pastimes with Radharani. Tell complete, you know, fabrication. And they have spies as well, isn't it? They have spies, all the birds are different spies to find out the intrigues of. Anyway, Hare Krishna. It's all going on in the spiritual world, in the perfection. Here, everything's a perverted reflection. Everything is horrid. Yeah. Everything is of the modes of material nature. It's very unpleasant. All right. Let me turn on the light. All right. Should we read a bit more? If anyone would like to read, you are welcome.
Shall I read, Prabhu?
Yes. Thank you. 192.
Okay. Because the Lord's pure devotees are absorbed in their true identity of eternity, knowledge, and bliss, they do not accept inferior happiness as great, nor do they get involved with the petty pleasures of materialists or of sannyasis with impersonalist views. Commentary. Ordinary people may be ignorant, may be ignorance. Consider what's that? Meager pleasure to be great.
Meager pleasure, yeah.
Yeah, meager pleasure to be great. The Vaishnavas are not fooled. Because materialists entrapped in the cycle of birth and death are motivated by urges for sense gratification. Such materialists consider the stimulation of sensory contact to be real happiness. Similarly, impersonalists, renunciants, cultivating knowledge of their spiritual identity, hope to find real happiness in liberation. In most cases, however, the impersonalist sannyasis do not reach even the petty happiness for which they aspire. The cause of frustration for both the materialists and the impersonalists in the failure to realize their own true nature as spiritual souls. A person who actually realizes himself as pure spirit can never consider material happiness complete, nor can he be enticed by trivial sense gratification, nor by the meager happiness of impersonal liberation, because he's immersed in the most intense ecstasy.
Yeah, sorry, a bit distracted. Just one verse. I don't know that verse that I found it. Yeah. This is chapter 5, text 22. Ye hi sambasa jaboga dukkha yonoya evate atyavanta kunteya nateshu ramate buddha. An intelligent person does not take part in the sources of misery, which are due to contact with the material senses. Why? O son of Kunti, such pleasures have a beginning and an end. So the wise man does not delight in them. This purport just reminded me of that. Yeah. Ordinary people may by ignorance consider meager pleasures to be great. But Vaishnavas are not fooled. Yeah. So any questions or comments? we shouldn't be fooled. Materialistic people will do everything they can to falsely prove that they are completely happy and content in their material life, but don't be fooled. Just like, for instance, if you here in central London, then in the evenings, then people are all outside the pubs drinking, no? And they're laughing really loud, raucously, they're a bit drunk, so loosened up a bit, and they're, we shouldn't, don't be fooled. Yeah, they're suffering, or someone may have material assets or nice facilities, but that what they consider happiness is so meager. Yeah, I always think I always, coming through. We used to go on traveling when I used to go on traveling Sankirtan. We would come back, and when we come back, we have to drive through, Soho on the Saturday night. And people there, we got this kind of, because we've been on intense Sankirtan, we come back and see what they're trying to enjoy. They're just like rats. Rats in seen rats in the underground? They're just people just like rats and cockroaches trying to enjoy it. How can you possibly enjoy drinking poison? Intoxication. They're poisoning themselves. But they think they're, here. Ordinary people made by ignorance consider meager pleasure to be great, but Vaishnavas are not fooled. Yeah. We can get much more happiness if we can chant nice rounds than any of the most successful materialists on the planet. We can experience more bliss and happiness by associating with devotees, by engaging in kirtan. Yeah. But the material world is, but sometimes devotees may get bewildered to think there is happiness to be found outside of devotion. So that's why this verse here. Yeah. The pure devotees are absorbed in their true identity. Yeah. They do not accept inferior happiness as great. But be careful, the material world, very powerful. So sometimes even devotees can get bewildered. Oh, there's more happiness in illicit relationships, etc., illicit activities. No. Any questions or comments on that? We're all convinced, you're all devotees. We all know there's nothing to be had in a local bar. All right. So if anyone's contemplating going to the local nightclub, local bar, please don't be fooled. There is nothing there. It looks like there's something there, but there's nothing there. It's just suffering. Okay, someone better read. I'm going on one now. Having a go at the material world. Yeah, and also by comparison as well. When we take to devotion, like I didn't realize I was suffering. I didn't realize the extent of my suffering until I became a devotee. And when I was a devotee with purified mind a bit, been chanting, and when I look back, I thought, man, was you suffering? But at the time, I didn't really, because I didn't really make that exclamation. Sometimes I would, but only upon reflection from engaging in Shravan and Kirtan, when I thought of the situations I was in and the state of mind I was in, where I was thinking I was so-called happy. No, man, I was suffering like a whimpering dog in the hands of material energy, But that became clear to me after, sorry, I'm going on, when was it? Yeah, that's why I had this experience I'm going on now about myself. I remember we used to, we don't do it now. We stopped doing it because what we used to do after the marathon, we would come back to central London, and then the marathon will continue to New Year's Eve. So New Year's Eve we would go around all the clubs and the pubs with a bucket, shaking a bucket and asking for donations for feeding homeless people. It's all a big scam. Nothing went to the homeless people, went to books. But what I'm trying to express is that it was so coming directly from the spiritual world, so to speak, but from a devotional environment, and engaging in hearing and chanting and in the temple, and going into these pubs and clubs and seeing that, it was such a graphic shock of the degradation of their so-called happiness. I remember coming back from these pub runs, kind of shell-shocked. I used to do that. You get to see people. Sometimes you go in a pub or someone in it, and they're sitting around the table. They're all completely miserable. And to stop that misery, they just get blind drunk. Anyway, I'm going on one now. But that was, for me, it was quite a revelation. It completely, if I thought I could find happiness, no. Suffering. Anyway, Hare Krishna. All right, well, let's read on. Let's change the track a bit. All right, you can continue reading, Mother Anupama. You only read one verse there. 193. Are you still there? Or
Yes, I'm here, Prabhu. Yes. Text 193.
Yeah.
The hierarchy among devotees is only imagined according to their own forms of service and according to the happiness each devotee derives from his own relationship with the Lord. Commentary. Every pure Vaishnava obtains results suitable to his own devotional attitude. What then is the basis for a hierarchy of greater and lesser devotees? In truth, no such hierarchy exists. It is only imagined as a device for comparing different kinds of devotional service. Each devotional relationship or rasa and its corresponding varieties of pleasure may for convenience be measured in terms of relative degrees of perfection. In the 9 methods of devotional practice, such as hearing and chanting, and in the various services devotees render to the Lord in Vaikuntha and elsewhere, attending the Lord in person, massaging his feet, dressing his hair, serving him as a doorkeeper. Each devotee relishes the highest possible happiness from his own service to his own worshipable Lord. By presuming a hierarchy of these services, one may also devise a hierarchy of happiness and may accordingly rank devotees. But even if, as some persons hold, such a hierarchy is factual, no pure Vaishnava thinks himself deprived of anything. All the Lord's devotees feel completely satisfied and happy.
Wow, such a wonderful purport, huh?
Yes, very nice.
Commentary. It's just explaining exactly in a wonderful way, like here. Yeah, no such hierarchy exists. It just doesn't exist. But you may compare, yeah, you may make some comparisons, but actually, as we've already concluded on the absolute platform, it is all absolute, and the devotee is completely, it is said here. Person massaging his feet, dressing his hair, serving him as a doorkeeper, each relishes the highest possible happiness from his own service. Yeah, so such high hierarchy, no pure Vaishnava thinks himself deprived of anything. All of the Lord's devotees feel completely satisfied and happy. Santushta. Yeah. Right. So next time you're washing pots in the kitchen for Krishna, this is perfection of my life. Washing pots for Krishna. Yeah. In the kitchen. You may be on your hands and knees cleaning up the ghee that got spilt down the back of the oven. Yeah, completely happy. Oh, it's like, I wish I don't want to do anything else but on my hands and knees cleaning behind the oven. This is
That's
perfection.
Gayatri.
Huh?
Gayatri's happiness.
Say again?
That is Gayatri's happiness.
All right.
Does
So
that every Tuesday. Gets
yeah.
into any corner she can to get the dirt out.
Yeah, so there you go. Yeah, so she was completely happy.
She's so
Yeah.
happy cleaning. Yeah.
I'm sorry somebody has had the experience where you're doing a particular service and you get overcome with great what's the word? Great appreciation for what you're doing, and you just want to do that forever. You know, had that experience where you want to do it forever and you don't want to stop. Sometimes I've been offering arti and it's ecstatic. Occasionally I get, it feels so ecstatic that that's it. This is perfection. Why should I do anything else? I should offer arti every day for the rest of my life. Of course, other things happen. And devotees have the experience, they're doing books and they're completely happy. They're completely happy. Well, sometimes, of course, because we're conditioned souls, so, we're trying to come to this platform. But I'm sure all devotees here, looking at devotees present, I'm sure you've had this experience where what you're doing, you feel completely happy, completely satisfied.
Yeah, we feel the same on Tuesday. The team feels the
Yeah,
same.
cooking,
Carry
Krishna.
on, carry on, forever. But the body is getting older.
Yeah, so sometimes we have to make adjustments in our service,
Mm.
Yeah. All right. We've got a couple of minutes left. Perhaps I'll have a read the next verse. We're on 194 now. Is that right? Yes. Okay, so it's a very interesting part of this here, isn't it? In Bhagavatamrta, it sees that Sanatana Goswami is really analyzing the nature of devotion to Krishna and how wonderful it is, Right, so 194. Some of these residents of Vaikuntha are eternal associates of Lord Krishna, and others have come here by his mercy. So sadhana siddhas, having gained the privilege to enter. So nitya siddhas and sadhana siddhas. Commentary. Because the servants of the Supreme Lord are by constitution as purely spiritual as he, one may doubt that there can be any difference between the devotee and the Lord. Right? Any distinction between the servant and the served. Text 194 through 199 resolve this doubt. So this from here, we're on 194 now. So this is going to be addressed. Some residents of Vaikuntha have always been there, like Ananta Shesh and Garuda. Others like Bharat, Priyavrata, and Jai and Vijay have come to Vaikuntha from the material world and have become associates of the Lord relatively recently, having gained entrance into Vaikuntha after successfully practicing devotional service. So through sadhana, they've come to perfection. Yeah. All right, so interesting discussion. Let's pause there, shall we? And we can, a bit of a cliffhanger, and we can continue next week. This wonderful explanation of devotional service. All right. So thank you for joining. We had 9 devotees with us this evening. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to read Brhad Bhagavatamrta. And let's continue next Thursday. Okay. Oh yeah, I'll see everyone have a wonderful Gaurapanim this Sunday. So be ecstatic. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Bol. Hare
Hare Bol.
Krishna.
Hare Prabhu ki jai.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much.
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare